Hey everyone, welcome to my channel for another exciting and fun-filled episode on this Passagemaker dinghy build. We got lots to do, so let's get at it. Alright, sorry for the background noise, but the AC is running. It's 73 in here this morning, so we'll have to get busy. So I did get the Peel Ply yesterday. The Peel Ply I got this time was actually 60 inches wide. So the before, the only thing I had was 30 inches, and I would have had to put another strip along here to make up this gap to fit the whole thing at once. But now I've got one piece that'll fit right in the middle. Now I've cut the Peel Ply mostly to shape. I might be a little bit shy in a couple areas, so I got some extra pieces. Got the Peel Ply all ironed out and ready to go. So my plan is to do one coat, pretty light coat. If I can manage to do a light coat, wait for it to tack up. So, in other words, so that it's just tacky, it hasn't cured all the way. Put another coat down, and then put the Peel Ply on top of that. I think that might be my best shot to get a good coat here. And I just remembered I've got holes where I drilled for the Dagger board trunks here, so I better remember to put some tape under that, or else I'll have big puddles of epoxy underneath that. So I want to do that right away. But anyways, that's my plan. Where it's pretty clean. It's real clean, I hope. So I just need to put the tape on there, get some epoxy mixed up, and get to slathering it on. And then I'm thinking it'll take about an hour between coats here to get where we want, but we'll see how that goes. So anyways, let me get at it. Alright, you got the expensive roller and we'll see if we can get this going. Check the time. It's down to 72 in here. AC is cranking. I'm not going to worry about tipping this. In other words, going back over it with a paintbrush. Just use a paintbrush in the areas that I can't get very well with a roller. But I should be able to get most of it with the roller. Mostly because I'll be using the Peel Ply on top of it. So hopefully that'll give us some smoothing out action there. Well, that doesn't look half bad. That covers up quite a bit of my my sins, and I'm pretty happy with the way it looks right now. So I think I'll go ahead and let's see. So if I wait an hour, so I still got about a half hour to go, I think, before this tacks up enough for a second coat, and we'll see how it goes. Yeah, and I got just about the right amount of epoxy, only just a little bit left over, so that's good. And the only thing I had problem with, so when I went to do the Peel Ply and make sure that it fit and cut it out for all the weird shapes, I must have left some threads behind in here that I missed this morning, because that was the only problem I had, was a couple of threads getting in the way and mucking things up. But for the most part, I'm pretty darn happy with the way everything looks right now anyways. So I'll pause here and be back in about a half hour or so here. We'll put a second coat on and scramble to put the Peel Ply on like we usually do. All right, well, it's been 2.5 hours, and now the the epoxy is just starting to get to the point where it's tacky, so I'm going to go ahead and put another coat down here if I can without messing it up too bad. We'll see how this goes. So then as soon as I get that done, then I'll go ahead and put the, well, first I'll take the tape off. I want to make sure to take the tape off and then put the Peel Ply on. I know I'm going to have some bleed over where I put the Peel Ply along my tape lines, but I'd rather get rid of the tape now than to try to fight it later. So I think that's I'm willing to go to live with some bleed over rather than having to try to get that tape off later. It's going to be a little bit difficult here to figure out where I've done already. I'm not sure this is quite ready for a coat actually, but we'll give it a shot here, see how it looks. Could turn into a whole lot more sanding given my luck. Alrighty then, see if I can get this tape off with minimal fuss. Geez, that tape didn't do a very good job. It's a lot of bleed through already. I hope I got enough Peel Ply to cover that bleed through. I was pretty close on my my cutting of the Peel Ply. I do have a couple extra small pieces if we run into problems, but let's see how this goes. So when I traced out and cut the Peel Ply, I made sure to label it. And this one is aft port, which means that this needs to start over here. Hopefully we roll it right out. Yeah, got some pieces of tape ready to go, just in case. This is a little bit different than putting the Peel Ply on top of the fiberglass, because I can move it around without having to worry about whether we pick up the fiberglass or not. This was aft port, huh? Looks like I cut it a little bit too short already. Better turn that AC back on. Alright, well that's going to have to do. No idea how it's going to come out. Alright, so now I've got to put the, I got to put this back piece on now, I think, here. Oops, that's the wrong one. This goes up front. How come I screwed that up? This one here goes on back. Strings all over the place. Should have saw this one coming. Since my gloves are covered with epoxy, every single string from this Peel Ply wants to stick with me. Alright, now on to the front section. I can tell I'm going to have to do some soap and water under a few spots in here, and probably a lot of sanding, but hopefully we're not too bad. Shouldn't be days and days of sanding, but probably a good day cleaning and washing it and all the other stuff. I'm gonna go ahead and pause you here, and I'll finish up the front, and we'll be back in a little bit. All right, so the back part here doesn't look too bad. Maybe a couple spots that might need some work, but I do see plenty of sanding in fixing of problems in my near future, because yeah, I made a mistake here. So always wondered how a bad Peel Ply job would look and how hard it would be to fix. So here we go. The temperature got right up. It's up to 83 now, and this is already setting up, and I can't really even move this Peel Ply. It's actually dried out in a couple spots, and it was a struggle just to get some of these side pieces on here. So yeah, so I'm gonna have to take soap and water to this, at least this section, if not the whole boat, and clean off the amine blush. So it was worth a try, but I think I've made more work for myself than need be. We'll see how it comes out. But anyways, we'll pause here and come back tomorrow to see what kind of mess we got here, and what we're going to do to clean it up. All right, so let's see how this looks. It's another day out here in the old guy's shed. Figured I might as well start with the halfway decent part here, if I can find a spot to get started at. Really? A little bit of sanding to do there. Let's see how this looks. Alright, let me show you what we got here. So overall, it looks pretty good. Let's see if I can figure out a way to show you. Yeah, so you can see it's kind of hard to pick up on the camera, but you see these shiny spots. I'm pretty sure that's a mean blush that needs to be washed off. So there's a streak right. It's going to be kind of hard to show on the camera, but yeah, Peel Ply gave me a pretty smooth surface back here, but it does need some washing. I did look at the Total Boat website yesterday, and they say use a scrubby with mild detergent, warm water until you see it dull. So any shiny spots until they turn dull, it's got this wax, this amine blush on them. Total Boats does have a de-waxer, so I do have some of that on order for the future, but we'll have to do this the hard way, it looks like. There are a couple spots that are going to need just some light sanding, probably even just some hand sanding in the back here, and not too sure if I need to if I'm gonna need to do anything else. I'll have to get into the cleanup here and see how it looks and decide what we'll do for this back part now. But now for the front part here, this is going to be a different story, I think. In the dumpster fire yesterday when I was trying to do the peel ply on this, at one point I actually cut the peel ply here trying to get to the point where I could reposition the centerpiece here, but that didn't work. But that's why it came off so easy here. Alright, so yeah, so you can see we've got where the wrinkles were. Not only does it need to be washed to get the meat and blush off, also needs a little bit of sanding. So that's what I'll do today is I'll get the soap and water out and clean this up, and then probably try to do some light sanding on here. Got to be really, really light. One of the things I did want to check and point out is, you know, even back in this area where we had the fiberglass spots, and even here where we had a pretty big gouge in the wood here, you can't even tell, and it's pretty fair here, so pretty smooth. So overall, even though we had a dumpster fire up here and it needs a little bit more work, I think overall I'm pretty happy with the way it came out. I mean, you can't see any of the problems. It's all smooth. So yeah, I think I'm pretty happy with this. Like I said, I'll go ahead and get some soap and water. And my main concern with the soap and water is, you know, I've got exposed wood that's not sealed, and as soon as some water comes in contact with this, the fibers will expand, and it'll make it. I don't know. We'll have to see. Hopefully it won't be too bad. I'll try to minimize the use of water, especially around the seams where the wood isn't protected. But overall, I think it's just going to be a little bit of elbow grease and some sanding, and then hopefully we should be able to get that darn Dagger board trunk in here pretty soon. I am going to go ahead and do a coat of epoxy. I might even do that today. It should be a pretty small epoxy job, and I should be able to, you know, get it done in 10 or 15 minutes. So I'll just use the regular epoxy for it. Probably use some Peel Ply for it anyways. But we'll see how far we get and how long this takes us. All right, then. Not sure how good this setup's going to work for you guys to see this, but we'll give it a shot anyways. So I got some just some Dawn dish detergent here. This water is nice and warm to the point of being hot. I'm just going to put in a pretty decent squirt. And I got my Scotch-Brite, and I've got a rag and a bucket of water down here on the floor to do some rinsing. When I looked at the website yesterday, it said need to get rid of the shiny bits. Anything shiny has got wax on it, so I think that's what I'm aiming for. And I wanted to try to see what the minimum is to get that done, and that doesn't look to be it. You know, I think it's time to try some denatured alcohol. I don't know why denatured alcohol, or even if I have to get the acetone out, I don't understand why they say warm water and soap is the only way to get rid of it. Let's try that. Alright, first let's try some denatured alcohol in here. And got a little bit of acetone here. I really hope acetone doesn't do it, because if it does, I'll have to put on a respirator in order to do this much area. I don't see any difference in the shininess. All right, good. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and continue on with the soap and water. Trusting the process. And we'll do the cleanup like that, and then do a light sand and be done with it. If I got a problem with, so if the wax is still there, so I guess that'll be okay too, because by the time I come back to paint here, I'll have that de-waxer from Total Boats, and I'll do that before I wax, or before I paint anything in here anyway. So I'll just go ahead and use the soap and water, get that cleaned up, do some light sanding, like I said. And then I just noticed this back wall is going to be a little bit more than some light sanding, but it shouldn't be too bad anyways. But yep, so that's what we'll continue to do today. I'll go ahead and pause here, and we'll be back to see how far we get. So I spent most of all of today doing some more sanding. So it may not look it, but it's nice and smooth now. Still got some shiny spots, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. like I said, I did the sanding. The sanding came out good. There's a couple spots where I only had the one coat of epoxy that I may have gone through that epoxy. Again, I'm not going to worry about it. The only thing I was doing today was sanding for making sure everything's nice and smooth, because we're going to be covering it up with paint anyways. So, so yeah, that's the plan. Everything's nice and smooth, and we'll get that dewaxer here hopefully probably early next week, and we won't be doing any painting before then. I know that. So anyways, the next step is to do the Dagger board trunk. So I did earlier today, I did do I did both sides of the Dagger board trunk in just regular epoxy and put some Peel Ply on it. So we'll take that off tomorrow morning and see if we can get the Dagger board installed. So I'll pause here, and we'll be back bright and early tomorrow morning. Well, alrighty then. It's another bright and early day out here in the old guy's shed, and I've did a little bit of prep work last night. The Dagger board trunk, I went ahead and took the Peel Ply off, gave it a real light sand all the way around, and also now I've got it put in, and I've got it put in with a clamp here, because our next move is to try to get this in here. Again, I don't have any, they didn't provide any locator holes or any kind of indexing or anything. So what I've done, hopefully you can see it, is I've put a line here, and this is actually off just a little bit. Right out there, to be in the center. On the outside, I did it on both ends, so that when so coming along, next step will be to put some epoxy, slather some epoxy on the underside of the Dagger board trunk, plop it in there, put some screws in the bottom and the screws in the front to get it tagged, to get it cinched in, and then put a fillet all the way around the outside. So again, we're putting something in with epoxy. We don't have any way to locate it. So I've already got the pilot holes, if you remember, from the underneath here. And what I'm going to do is just quickly get under there and put the pilot holes into here, into the spacer on both sides. And hopefully that'll give me a little bit of help when we go to locate it. So let me get you set up, and then, so once I do that, then I'll get the some epoxy mixed up. We'll put this in hopefully today, and then also I've got the seat, the middle seat should hopefully get on today too. The one thing they don't tell you in the manual is they had you do the underside. If you remember right, we did the epoxy on the underside here already, and they tell you to put it on with more thickened epoxy. They don't tell you you probably ought to sand the bottom at least where the epoxy is going to go. I went ahead and just did a light sand over the whole thing, so hopefully that'll go good. So anyways, let me get you set up, and we'll get to put stuff in the boat here. Oh, forgot to turn the camera on when I drilled these holes. Let's see how they came out here. And we're not too far off. How come we're so far off on the back here? Huh. Well, it should still be okay. Kind of weird. All right, good. Let me get some epoxy mixed up. So the first step they want you to do is to put some clear epoxy over this edge here. So I'm going to go ahead and do the whole edge with clear epoxy, and then mix up thickened epoxy and put that on here. We'll plop it down in here, get it clamped in, screw it from the bottom. Oh, and I got to put thickened epoxy on here first too. So do that, slap it in, screws in the bottom. I've got the screw holes marked where I want them in the front here already, so that should be pretty quick. Then we put it in, scrape off any of the thickened epoxy that oozed out. We got to put a large cove around the bottom. Lots to do. Alright, well this has all the makings of a nice mess. I've got the bottom all buttered up and this edge here. Also, I've managed to put a thin epoxy along the top right where I shouldn't have, but that's alright. We can get this set up here without making too much of a mess. Not. Well, that looks pretty good. Close enough. See if I can get that clamp on there without screwing it up too bad. Hopefully that'll hold it in place. See if I can get the screws in under the bottom. I was going to try to set you up to show that, but I don't really have the time to be switching back and forth, so you'll have to trust me on this one. Well, that looks pretty darn close. I just got to drill. I'm going to do this in 2 steps here. While I got the clamp in, I'm going to drill a hole here. Just a short pilot hole. These are, they give you 1.25" stainless steel flathead number 8 screws to put in. 4 of them. That's pretty good. All right, I just got to clean up the squeeze out a little bit here, then put a cove all the way around the bottom. I don't know if we do one there or not. I don't think we do. Check the book here. Yep, yeah, so we do put a fillet in both along the bottom and along the sides there. Got some thickened epoxy left over here. I wonder if I can use it. Yeah, just a little bit of epoxy. They want a really big 1/2" cove down here. Remember to clean up after you drill a hole before you try to put a fillet in. Yeah, good tip to have. Just need a touch more thickened epoxy for this guy. I only need one side. I'm just gonna do a 1 pump real quick, I think. Now I'm gonna go ahead and make up another 4 pump. So we can do the, hopefully we can do the seat with the same batch. All right, let's see. I think now is the time to put the seat on, but just want to check. So 1/2" radius tool, intersection of the trunk and the midships frame. Coat the top edges of the midships bulkhead up to the knees and the Dagger board trunk with epoxy to press cockpit. Okay, all right, so good. So I'm going to do one quick batch of epoxy here because I want to pre-wet this whole surface of this plywood here. the edge of these plywoods, they want to soak in the epoxy, and I think it's better to have that surface pre-wetted out. Alright, well I think I'm just going to leave it like that, smush the seat on top. Well heck, that was too easy. It says put a heavy weight on top. I think I'm going to put one of the big guys on there. Alright, it says swipe away any excess epoxy squeezed out from the underside of the seat. Really? How? I guess I might be able to. Nope. I think you can see it. You can see under there. How am I supposed to? Yeah, well that's not going to happen. If I have to, I'll use the Dremel to do that later. I don't think there was any play in this. Yeah, I'll have to do. Alright, so the final step is to put thickened epoxy along these knees on both sides on the top here. Make sure I understand what they want here. It should be just another small batch of epoxy should do it. Yeah, so in the book they show just coming out here, so I think where we meet up at this point here is where we end the fillet. So just along there, and then taper it down to nothing. There's a little bit of gap here, and I'll probably just try to fill in a little bit. It doesn't say anything about this other side over here too. It just says this section here. It would make sense to put one here though. Oh, I think there's something that might go there. Alright, let me mix up another batch of epoxy and we'll get that going. Got a little bit of this clear epoxy left. I'm just going to go ahead and wet this surface out. Seem to get better fillets when I do this, at least on that last bit I did. The fillets went really smooth. Almost waited too long to do this cleanup on the bottom. I will come back here shortly and do the denatured alcohol on the finger, and once this dries, the next step they have us is turning the boat over and then actually putting a real cove along the inside here. I'm kind of tempted to take a swipe here. And just try to clean up blindly. To kind of minimize the mess, and that's what I'm doing. Yeah, so once it dries, we turn it upside down and then do the underside. So I think cleaning that up that way, even though I couldn't see what I was doing, is the right thing to do. Yeah, so that's all they got going for us. Let me show you how it turned out a little bit in detail here. All right, you can see I'm getting, like I said, I think having it wet out gave us a lot better chance at getting a good cove there. Here's the detail on this. Now you can see down there, if we can get the right angle, they don't show us going all the way and doing this bulkhead here. The picture's pretty clear of just doing this. Picture's pretty clear of just doing this edge like this. They even have a picture. Let's see if we can. Well, maybe it does. Alright, I'm gonna go back and do that again then. We'll add some more epoxy there, but the rest of it we're looking pretty good. Let's see what the underside looks like. Looks like we had pretty good squeeze out. Might need to come back and do another swipe on that. But overall, I think it went pretty good. We looks like it's pretty close to being centered. It might be just off a little bit over on this side. It's kind of hard to tell with the parallax here, but it just might be a little bit off. But I think it's okay where it is. See again here on this fillet here and these guys. So let me come back. I'm gonna go ahead and do just fix up these edges here a little bit to come all the way back to the cove on these sides, and then I'll come back out and do the denatured alcohol. But for now, we'll go ahead and pause here and be back tomorrow. Well then, it's the same day. It's early evening now. The temperature is so high today, I figured I'd come out and check to see if this epoxy had set up, and it is nice and hard. It's a miracle what 90+ degree temperatures will do for getting epoxy to cure. But anyways, so I did clean that up, that fillet up, and boy, I tell you what, that's just about the best fillet that I've done. There's a little bit of a bobble back there. And then on the sides, I did decide to come along and do this connection here. I had a problem with this corner on all of them because it's such a big gap. So hopefully now I'll be able to at some point come back and do a little bit better job in all the corners. But even these fillets are looking pretty good to me. Just a little bit of sand up around the edges, and we should be good to go. Wanted to take a look at all of them. Yep, so yeah, there's another, just a little bobble right there, but all the rest look pretty good. Even those corners came out pretty good. So yep, so pretty happy with all this. So I'm gonna go ahead and yeah, let's go ahead and I figured out that if I get out here in the evening and if the epoxy's dry, then I can do stuff and get ready for tomorrow morning, right? So our next step is to have the boat upside down, and then we've got to come and do a cove underneath these guys all the way around the edges. So I can do that tomorrow morning, and then I think there's one other thing. I'll have to look at the manual. Let me take a look at the manual. So yeah, so I'm gonna this evening I'll get the boat turned upside down and make sure that I can get to where I need to, and I'll probably take a look at it if there's any cleanup that needs to be done before I do that fillet underneath. I'll get that ready to go. And then there's one other thing, I can't remember what it is right now, but anyways, let me pause here and we'll be back in just a minute. Oh yeah, that's right. So this is one of the goofier parts in the manual, right? So our next step is to take, and they even show a picture right here of the boat inverted and you doing this underneath. And then the very next step is to put in the mast support, which is on the inside of the boat up front. And I should have had that ready to go and should have done that today. But I'm not going to worry about it. So we're going to turn the boat upside down. We'll do the fillets on the underside of the seat tomorrow. And then the next thing after the mast support is the skegs. So you actually have to put the two skeg halves together before you put them on the boat. So That's what we'll plan for tomorrow, is to do the undersides and to put the skeg together. So I'll get that all set up and ready to go. But for now, this episode's starting to run long. So if you want to see that work, you'll have to come back for next episode. I want to say thanks for watching. Thanks for your support. Make sure you're hitting that like button. Please leave me any comments, questions, suggestions down below. Please tell your friends about me, and please, please subscribe. Everyone, take care and be good.